Morning, everyone. Welcome back to our Thursday Talks with the Experts in Technology. Just a quick reminder to keep yourself on mute, and you can send me questions in the chat anytime.
All right, Lindsay, thank you very much. We are looking forward to a great conversation with Chikio Richmond. And as Chikio joins us, I'm going to actually do a screen share real quick and talk a little bit about Chikio in just one second. But before we get started, just a reminder that we will be hosting these talks every Tuesday and Thursday. On Tuesday is designed for high school students that are interested in developing their career. We've covered many different topics, such as how to build an awesome resume, how to create a better online presence. We took a deep dive into LinkedIn. We're going to talk about even financial literacy, elevator speech, and all these other wonderful key skills that you'll want to hear about as you go forward. So that's Tuesdays from 11:30 to 12:30 at live.powerupitmn.com. Those are designed specifically for high school students, in particular 12th grade and 11th grade, for those of you about to enter the work world. But we encourage any high school student and even collegiates or early career professionals that want to maybe polish up their resume or pick up some few tips and tricks. I'm old and I always learn something new every time I listen to one of those webinars. That's on Tuesdays at 11:30. On Thursdays, like today, we're going to have a new speaker every single week. And so today we have Chikio Richmond, and I think she's going to come off of mute, get her video working here pretty soon. But before that, I'm going to do a screen share and show you all a little bit of intro to Miss Richmond here. Give me 1 second. All right, so before we get started, Miss Richmond actually represents an area of technology called infrastructure. And I have to look at my other screen here, so I don't mean to look away from you. But within the world of infrastructure, there are many, many different types of careers that you can have. And hold on 1 second. Anything from desktop to hardware, servers, to security administration, to cloud specialists, all those careers and jobs that are out there kind of lead you down this path. Today, she represents the network and communications infrastructure, moving data all the way from your desktop to the server, through the building, possibly from business to business. And that's where she actually, space that she works in. And so on the screen, we have some degrees and certificates, really not to heavily say CompTIA, but as high school students, you can certainly pursue some of these certifications and network certifications early while you're in high school. I'm not quite sure in the midst of COVID how you do that, but if you're interested in finding out how to take those classes online, please send an email to powerupitmn@mnstempartners.org, and we can certainly follow up with you. Additionally, in that world, we have A+ certifications. The jobs, the money that they're paying is actually pretty incredible. And so we have $86,000 even for a cloud engineer. So you can make quite a bit of money. Additionally, if we get drilled down more into the network specialist, you can see that you can make real good money coming out of their network. Technician actually can make 50 grand a year. All the way up to network engineer, which is a higher level or a deeper understanding and knowledge of that. And having said that, we can look to see here in the world of network account management, in that sales arena, again, just having engineering background like Ms. Richmond, you're going to make high 5 figures. Network management, and you get into the enterprise level, you're going to get on average at least 75 to 80,000, if not more. If you notice the range in the bottom left-hand corner over here, you could see that, you know, you're looking at 6 figures easily. So the information that she's going to share with you is going to be very important. So I would like to make sure that you're able to understand that the reason why we have Miss Richmond is because she represents a career space that is very lucrative for those of you that are interested, maybe not as much on the software development side, but on the infrastructure side. And again, did we have a question?
No, this was Chikios. I just wanted to let you know that I'm here and I appreciated that introduction.
No problem. We're actually gonna, let me go back and change that screen again for you. All right, Miss Richmond, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Good, good.
Staying safe, staying warm. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. You know, now that we're here in the land of Power Up IT, we're looking forward to chatting with you just a little bit. On the line, we have a mixture of high school students as well as professionals that are interested in this particular topic and hearing what we have to say. And again, these are going to be recorded and they're currently being live broadcast to Facebook and as well as to our youtube.powerupitmn.com YouTube channel. So yes, amidst the world of COVID and being locked in, we thought putting these online and becoming virtual was probably the best way to go. So today, Chikio, we're going to talk a little bit about you, your lifestyles, the things that you like to do for fun. We'll talk about maybe your career and education and how you got there so that our students as well as our collegiates and professionals can hear a little bit more about being a professional and what it actually means to be a professional in corporate America. So would you like to start out with anything or can I dive right into the questions?
Well, first, before you dive right into the questions, let me first thank you for having me on today. I definitely appreciate this opportunity to share whatever information I can with a young person or young professional in regards to tech and careers in tech. I want to make this a little interactive. I can see everyone's on Zoom. Before we dive in, could everyone just write in the chat for me if you have an interest in technology or STEM and what specific area?
All right, as we see those start to pop up. Well, while we're waiting for the questions to pop up, let's talk a little bit about you. Do you want to give us a little bit of background on who you are? What do you like to do to have fun? I guess we'll talk more on the personal side first.
Okay,
see,
we can.
So that we know that you're not just you're only nerdy, if you don't mind me using that term. So.
No, that's completely fine. And I'm sorry you guys can't see me. I got dressed for you guys this morning. Outside of my day job or working in technology, well, let me see. I might be able to start my video.
Maybe your network firewall is blocking the video signal. I just asked you to start video, so.
Give me 2 seconds. It's asking me to select a different camera.
We might be in luck. There we go.
Oh, no, that's not a good camera.
That's not a good camera.
No, it's not. Let me see if I can pick a different one.
You know, of course, it's always us technical people that run into these things, right? So.
Yeah, it doesn't like my other camera. I don't know what's going on. It only likes the night vision.
All right. Well, we can keep going. That's fine.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, things that I do outside of my daytime and working in technology. I'm actually a small business owner. So I have 2 separate businesses. One, I own and operate a sober housing business, Betty's Healing Homes. I house women who are going through intensive outpatient programming. And then secondly, I recently opened an assisted living business as well, where I provide long-term housing with supportive services for persons who may have a disability or fall into the vulnerable adult community. And then outside of that, I am a two-time USS Strongman champ. So I lift quite a, normally, right? Gyms are closed right now. I'm normally in the gym at least 4 or 5 times a week, hitting it pretty hard. I also am a mother. So yeah, I think that's about it. Michael, did I miss anything?
No, that's what we want the students to hear, is that, you know, you have a career, you have a business that is pretty awesome, and you also raise a family. So that would lead me to believe you're a very, very busy person. So thank you for taking the time to be here as well on your lunch break. And that's why we time these at lunch as well. So let's talk a little bit about what you do today. What is your corporate job? What do you do today in technology?
All right. Good question. So in technology today, I am what's called an enterprise account executive. So that's a fancy way of saying I'm an IT sales consultant. I work primarily with mid-sized to large corporate enterprises to consult, design, and implement network infrastructure. And so that is the connection. That also is the equipment that transmits the connection. So that would be routers and switches, and any type of security appliance such as a firewall.
All right. So,
oh, I forgot to add, I'm also Cisco certified in network routing and switching. I probably should have added that.
Yeah, no, and that's a good transition into our next topics is education. But before we get to that, did you ever envision yourself being in this particular role with all the certifications, education, and working as a person in that capacity?
No, I didn't. So I actually took a very non-traditional route into tech. I became pregnant in I want to say the summer after my freshman year of college, and decided that at that time it was probably best for me to shift into looking at careers and going into the workplace. So I actually went to work for a bank. I worked at US Bank as a call center rep for about 1.5 years. And then I went to a job fair with my brother of all people. And I saw a job opening for a telecommunications company. And I really didn't know what I was getting into. So at that time, to get into telecommunications meant that you received a baseline education in IT. So I started working for Quest Communications, worked in their call center for a number of years, promoted myself within the company to higher up positions. And somewhere along that road, I fell in love with technology. And that's when I started to do research and pursue a certification in tech, and start really career mapping and understanding what I wanted to do.
Fantastic. I mean, that's pretty amazing to go through high school, you know, and pursue something, you know, just getting a job, and not to water it down, but, you know, you went into the workforce, not thinking about technology per se. And here you are ending up being at one of the premier positions for a career in technology. And even on the sales side, the thing that's pretty impressive is that, like you said earlier, you have a number of certifications and education to back up, you know, your work. So that's pretty cool. It's very fascinating because a lot of students that we run into don't always have a clear vision of what they want to be. But here's a prime example where, you know, you were doing a thing and then you just happen to fall in love with the technology. So again, just to repeat, what were the first jobs in technology did you have? Was it literally going right into the sales side of that, or can you maybe elaborate a little bit more on how you actually bridged from the time that you were working in a business job into a IT business type job, if I may?
Yep. Yep, absolutely. So I just want to make sure that I heard you right. So how did I go from like a completely different industry such as finance to technology?
Meaning, yeah, did you take a class? What were your thoughts? Did you talk to other people? Those types of questions.
Okay, good question. So no, I didn't talk to anyone. Um, and I think that for me, I've always been kind of fascinated with the why behind the why. So my long-term goals in technology, I aspire to be a network architect or security architect so that I can design networks. So I've always kind of had that underlying interest in building things. I think by entering into technology through a telecommunications company, it gave me a preview of the why behind the why, right, and the building blocks. So I think for me, I actually want to pivot a little bit, and I want to answer your question, but I want to connect it more so to the audience in a way I think they'll relate to. So when you introduced me, Michael, you were going through the slides and you mentioned, you know, like a technician, a cable tech, right?
Yep.
So, you know, if I could put it to the audience, how many people, when you see the cable guy or the phone guy come to your house and install a phone jack, or the cable guy come hook up internet or, you know, your cable TV to your, you know, at home, how many of you automatically think that this person is an IT professional?
Hmm. I'll let the audience answer.
Yeah, that's for the audience.
Yeah. So because we're recorded and maybe many won't get a chance to respond live or dynamically, if anybody does, they can just drop it right in the chat for Lindsay, and Lindsay will share that with us. But I tell you what, to be totally brutally honest, when I see that big old, you know, Comcast van pull up in my alley or to my door to install cable back in the day, right? I really never, honestly, to be brutally honest, it was more like being like a maintenance worker with not really, they just ran this string of some kind of black cable. You know, I understood it was cable, but I never really thought of them as being technical, to be quite candid. That's not what I think today, but back then, yeah, I would say they're just like, you know, the garbage man. He drives down the street, you see him, they do their thing. But I never really gave that much respect to the cable installer. But go ahead and finish that, because that's pretty fascinating.
Yes, and I actually asked that question because I know prior to COVID, Michael, you and I were able to do some in-class sessions, and when we asked that question, the kids were, you know, they never thought of that person as well as an IT professional. More importantly, to the slide that you have up as well, we never think that that person that's coming in our home who's, you know, installing one drop or cable TV, from an IT sales professional perspective, we don't always envision that same technician being of extreme value and installing 200 plus drops into a commercial building or into a high school or into a hospital. And so when we talk about the careers in technology, I think that in the space specifically that I play in, there is a preconceived notion about it that most people don't understand it. So the range of IT professionals, you know, it's more than someone who is going to develop an application. It's more than someone who's familiar with code. There's this huge infrastructure piece that really the most of us in general don't really have a common or good understanding of until we really start breaking it down. So, you know, telecommunications in this country and IT go hand in hand. The top 3 telecommunication companies in the United States also are the top 3 network or technology providers in the United States as well. So understanding the connection there, I think for me, like I said, it was kind of like I just kind of stumbled into it based on some of the the other interests that I had. But once I was able to start to understand the environment that I was in, and because I was in a customer service position and had to manually enter in codes to create an order for ordering telephone services, I don't think that people really understood that until recent years of automation. Those types of things were done by hand by a person. There was no automation in that. So to answer your question, Michael, I think that my baseline business understanding gave me the ability to pivot and strive to go into a different industry. But being in that industry is what gave me the vast knowledge and a greater understanding of the many facets of tech and how it crosses over so many industries. Sorry, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, no, it's great knowledge. You also pointed out that is Cisco, you know, I threw up on the other screen CompTIA only because through BDPA we have a partnership, and our founder was actually indoctrinated into the Hall of Fame, which is a very major deal. So I've always kind of had a tendency to lean towards like the CompTIA Network Plus and all that. But on the screen, I just did a very quick Google. It's not anything I'm trying to represent, but there's actually a ton of other Cisco certifications and pathways that you can take. So the question is, if today, what would you tell a high school student that maybe had an affinity, maybe they were the one who took the time to talk to the cable installer, you know, because you know how it is. Many of our students end up being the IT support for their household. Because I know, just to clean up what I said before about a tech installer, was I have the utmost respect for the installers now, because they have to know about electrical engineering, the concepts of the communication lines, and like me, you know, I'm a DIY hacker, so I would always take the cable that had the coax in, then I'd go to Menards, get a splitter, then I'd split it 2 or 3, 4 times until I didn't get any signals, and then I'd have to call out the cable guy, and then he'd say, well, you can't do that, you got to do this, and then he taught me how to read the ohms and like the speeds and the frequencies, right? So for back to the original question is, would you, knowing that we're in a COVID situation, one of the most important resources we have now in IT is your communications backbone, you know, that cable that goes into your house, pursuing a network installer or network communications, would you think maybe pursuing a Cisco certification or what type of degree or certificate or 2-year could you advise a young high school student to maybe start looking into so that they can come out of high school prepared? Long question.
That's a great question. And I love that it was long, and I love that it was complex. So I can answer that though. So with COVID-19, I'm going to encourage any and everyone, be they a high schooler or a young professional, or even a displaced worker that's looking for a new industry to get into. Right now is where network infrastructure it's become the most pertinent, and there's a huge light shining on it. And I think that now with everything that's going on, people will quickly understand the importance of it. Because without network infrastructure, we will not be able to continue to evolve into a highly functioning social distance environment. So with that said, you know, majority of the certifications you have up there are really great. Some of them are going to take a little bit longer than others. I would highly recommend starting with a lot of those TIA or the AI certifications that are going to be a lot easier. Just picking up that baseline knowledge can help you to secure a job making, yes, about that $50,000. So, you know, really to try to translate this into, you know, monetary value for you guys, that average base pay, which is something technicians get paid more than that, just so that, you know, you guys understand. It doesn't take a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree to be able to attain that. That's something that you can acquire a certification now as a high schooler. You can also look at programs in college that will incorporate these same certifications, and you will receive college credits for them. So in terms of which one is better, I can't say which one is better. While I am Cisco certified, you know, Cisco is not the be all, right? They were the first, and yes, they are the largest. But I would say just look at any area that you're interested in. I would start researching it, understand what certifications align with that specific vertical, and go after it. And because we're talking about technology, which enables us to be able to have a virtualized environment, I assume that all of those courses are still available. So I would say get after it.
First of all, I'm going to unmute myself. And I know that this is kind of a curveball for you, but I was kind of curious, you know, what we've talked about is the physical hardware, like delivery of communication in the last mile, as well as from the root all the way out to your home. But once inside my home, a lot of my stuff is Wi-Fi. But do many of your customers, or do you guys talk about 5G or anything like that? Or can we save that for another conversation?
We could save it, but 5G is coming. Some of my clients are talking about it. You know, when we think about 5G, again, you know, things are going to keep getting faster. We're going to keep needing more capacity, right? Mm-hmm. So that in itself, the need for the people to actually support 5G and implement that, and the people to sustain that network is going to be critical right now.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to like sound the alarms, but I do strongly encourage anyone who is interested in these areas of tech to start brushing up or quickly look at a program that you can enroll into to familiarize yourself with it.
Yeah, it's definitely good money. And I know that you can't always believe the hype on everything, but 5G definitely is where everything is driving towards, as well as that's from the Wi-Fi and the global internet perspective. So, and those speeds are blindingly fast, right? So, all right, let's talk. Let's see, we covered lifestyle. We talked a little bit about career. We talked a lot about, you know, certifications, which are really tied into education. And I don't know, Lindsay, were there any other questions that came up in the chat? Hold on.
Yeah, we've got one question here. It says, are there different paths in communications, and what are the keywords they need to search for classes learning communication technology?
Good question. So keywords that you're going to want to search are telecommunications. Telecommunications covers baseline transport. That's going to also cover telephony.
Sorry, I was just goofing around trying to bring up telecommunication on there. So, all right. So anything in telecommunication. Was there a second part to that question that was asked?
And if I can elaborate on that. So if you're out searching, yes, you can search Google for telecommunications. If you're actually looking at programs or wanting to see if maybe our local colleges or institutes have programming, you would also want to use those same words and that verbiage. So telecommunications, network infrastructure, network communications.
In terms of like for colleges or?
Yep, for courses. So even if you were to go to a college catalog and search telecommunications or search network infrastructure or information systems.
Let's try this.
Yep. So for example, Century College, they have courses, and within their 2-year programs, degrees, they offer certifications.
So like down here to the left, they have programs and degrees, course catalogs, course outlines. You think degrees? We'll go into that first maybe and just take a quick peek.
So what's nice, actually, if you go back one, Michael.
Go back a page.
Yep, go back one. And so right there, if you look in the description for, nope, you didn't have to click off.
That's what I get.
Yep.
I am trainable.
So
All
right here on the main page, right next to that video, to the right of it, you'll see it actually gives you like the certificates versus the actual 2-year degree program. So you can acquire these certificates as you are getting your degree. Michael, if you click into the first one, information and telecommunications technology. So this is their AAS track. Michael, if you click in.
That associates.
Yep, so this is an associate's track. If you click in it and go down. Okay, so when you go, so right here where it says program requirements, it gives you the requirements, but you can start to see how, see right there, the CCNA, that's the first course of your CCNA. That's the second course of a CCNA.
So the 1031?
Yep.
Okay.
So as you can see, as you're going through this 2-year program, right? Within the program, semester over semester, you're actually getting trained and getting the knowledge that you need so that you can actually go out and get tested out on these certifications while you're still a student in college, and you can go out and you can get a job making really good money.
Wow. Okay. But that's a whole degree. Okay.
And so even if you decide that, hey, I don't want to take the full 2 years, or hey, I don't want to wait 3-4 years before I get out and get my feet wet in the industry. As you can see, you know, our state colleges and our institutes are aligning their programs so that they are enabling you to do exactly that, which is to get out in the workplace sooner.
Gotcha. All right. And there, besides Century, there's MCTC, and a lot of this, I know that a lot of the state colleges specialize that, and St. Paul College is another one. My youngest son went through an associate's program there, and he could have picked up his A+ and his CCNA, but he chose to go to really more focus in on the traditional route, and so he's finishing at Metro State. But he also somehow he ended up getting a job doing A+ and Network Plus work based on, you know, he got a job. He got a, you know, part-time job unboxing computers and refurbishing computers. And they found out that, you know, he had these other knacks for things. And so I just totally believe that there are traditional routes, the, you know, linear sequential routes where you do, you know, high school, go to college, get the job. But this is really cool when you're saying even in high school, they can pick up some of these certifications or maybe just pursue the certification right out of high school. And I think now amidst COVID, it might be a great opportunity for those that are going to have more time, right? Because we don't want the students to lose time just because, let's say that the rest of the school year is going to be, you know, working from home and, you know, online school. It'd be really cool to really research some of these opportunities and even maybe email their school counselor or their teacher to find out if the school will pay for the distance learning type fees that they charge to get those certifications, right? So there's probably some options, and I'd challenge any of the teachers that come online or see this video to reach out to us so we can get that information out to them.
Yeah, Michael, and you're absolutely right. I don't recall that there is a high school diploma or GED requirement for anyone to start taking these types of certifications.
No, matter of fact, and I think it's called PESP, but it's basically you can take college credits while you're in high school, and the high school actually pays for them. It's a state program. Now, I'm not just pushing only state. I mean, there's other institutions, but Minnesota State, I know for sure, they can go to a, Century, a Metro, where a St. Paul College. I believe they can go to the U of M. They could take courses while they're in high school, and then it's basically free to them. All they have to do is participate. And now seems to me would be the optimal time while you have time, and you might as well use this time to be kind of on lockdown and quarantine, whatever you want to call it, to take advantage of the extra time to learn, because you could come out, a year or two earlier, fully racked up with certifications that will, better your chances of getting a really cool job. Speaking of which, and I hate to keep throwing you these curveballs, but in your job, like from a communications back office or dashboard, network monitoring, call center, being able to troubleshoot. Let's say I get a Cisco or a CompTIA network certification, right? I'm in 12th grade, but I'm 16, 17 years old. Are there jobs at Comcast or maybe other communications companies where I could actually work in a call center watching networks? Or maybe you could speak a little bit to, when you talk to a customer, what do you tell a customer about how their quality of services being managed and monitored?
Mm-hmm.
If you see where I'm going with that. Sorry, it's
Yep,
not. Yeah.
No, I can see where you're going with that. And to answer your question, yes. So let me kind of dive into that, and maybe I can add some color to what I think you were.
Where I was trying to go with that question. It just popped in my mind.
So to your point, when we look at applicants who are getting certifications, right? We do. So what I do, right, is I'm a consultant, and I discuss design and network with clients, right? So as a potential client, a question that they would want to know is, well, who is supporting your network, right? Why should I trust your network? Why is it reliable? We have what are called their NOCs. These essentially are, you could say, a call center type setup, but they're call centers that are specific to IT professionals who are certified to manage and monitor networks, right? So these are going to be people who are monitoring the network. These are going to be what we would call a baseline engineer. They're essentially the support for the support, right? And those positions and those people are extremely critical. So yes, a student who was getting certifications at base level would qualify for those types of positions and could go into employment at like an entry position at a company like Comcast. And that's actually a great route for them to take, because a lot of my education in IT actually came from on-the-job training, right? So once you enter the corporate America or the working world in an IT or tech position, it's kind of like you just bought in, right? And so it's to your employer's best interest as well, is to continue to educate you on how to support their network, so you can in turn do a better job for the company. And that is something that I took advantage with my time at my previous employers. Sorry, guys. It is lunchtime and I haven't eaten yet. And there's a lot of value in that, because you can quickly see yourself scaling from like an entry-level position making $35,000 to quickly, over the years, getting up and over six figures.
Man, that's crazy. I was trying to find a network operations center picture, because I think, it'd be kind of interesting for students to see what we're kind of talking about. It kind of looks more like a NASA display. So I don't know which one of these are good, but I'll pick the one that looks the most interesting right now. But in general, you can tell that some of these things are pretty sophisticated. You got a person sitting here that's monitoring all these multiple screens, and I'm sure each screen is monitoring something differently. Of course, I don't see any of them monitoring Netflix or anything like that, but that was a joke. But it looks like it could be very sophisticated. So with that, you have to monitor the alerts and passages, but it's a real job. I mean, it is a real job. Thank you for sharing that. That's pretty cool. All right, let's see. We are approaching our near ending time, and let's see. Do we have any other questions from the audience here? Lindsay, did you see any new questions pop up?
Yeah, there was one that says, do you know of any free youth programs that help train students for internships in the networking and communications field?
You mean outside of this one?
What was that?
So I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, do you know of any free youth programs that help train students for internships in the networking and communications fields?
You know, I cannot say that I specifically know any off the top of my head that train youth solely on how to baseline understanding of communications. I think that is something that I'm working on with Dr. Wolf in terms of work that the Minnesota STEM Partnership Program is doing. So the answer is no, I don't know of an established organization today, but I do know of one that is in the works, and that's something that I'm proud to say that I'm a part of.
Yep. And just to build on that plug, you know, like you, I have, my background is significant number of years in infrastructure. And so one of the key opportunities through the programs that we offer at Minnesota STEM Partnership is to build out some of those other jobs and opportunities. So we're partnering with organizations that have some of the pieces, and we can bring in the professionals and do some training. So that one is definitely on the drafting board. So yeah, thank you for bringing that out, Chikios. So, all right. Any other questions pop in, Lindsay, before we adjourn?
Nope, that was the last one.
All right, fantastic. Well, I thank each and every one of you for joining today, and please spread the word. And Lindsay, did we get a confirmation on next week's speaker by any chance?
I don't believe we have confirmation for next week.
Okay, I believe it's Steve Buchanan, but we're going to find out. And like today, Ms. Richmond, we thank you so much for joining us. We thank you for spending your lunch hour. We hope that you do find some nutritious food to eat here so that you don't pass out. And that thank you for sharing your knowledge, your skills, and more importantly, the wisdom, the ins and outs of how our young people can position themselves for fantastic futures with making good income and be sustainable and live sustainable lives and then grow. And I also appreciate the fact that you have shared at a personal level, you know, kind of the non-traditional path. But in reality, there really is no path. As long as you find a passion and you enjoy it, that's really what it's about. And so hopefully somebody on this recording, somebody on this live broadcast will be inspired to pursue networking and communications and telecommunications. And again, if you have any questions, you can also send an email to powerupitmn@mnstempartners.org. It's on our flyers, it's on our website, but you can also just go to powerupitmn.com and submit contact us at the bottom. So on behalf of Power Up ITMN, on behalf of Lindsay and all the volunteers and helpers that make this thing happen, you all have a wonderful day, stay safe, and let's hope that we can all come out here before summer and enjoy some getting back to more normal lives. So good luck in school, everyone. Take care.